Hello, and welcome to the first Ms. Magazine video blog. I am Ebony Utley. I'm an assistant professor of communications at Long Beach State. I am also the woman behind the utleyexperience.com, and I'm your fearless leader for today. I'm a veteran blogger for Ms. Magazine. One of my posts was one of the first posts on the blog, and so I'm actually one of the first people to bring you a video blog. Today's topic for discussion is for colored girls, and I have two fabulous colored girls joining me today. They'll introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Christa. Thank you, Ebony, so much for having us on here. I'm Christa. I'm a performance artist and writer from Seattle, Washington.
And I'm Mako. I'm an assistant professor of sociology, women's studies, and global African studies at Seattle University, and also a member of the Real Color Girls Collective project with Christa.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, ladies. First impressions in one sentence. What is your first impression?
I think my first impression is that the film is complicated. It includes a slew of A-list actresses, not just black actresses, but actresses in Hollywood that really kept me in my seat for the full 2 hours of the film. But I had a lot of mixed emotions, both going in and also leaving the theater.
Okay.
I don't know that I can give a one-sentence impression of the film. Like Mako said, it was really complicated experience, and it comes against a backdrop of a certain kind of representation that's been playing out in media around black women for at least the last 2 years. You know, from the nappy-headed hose and the of Don Imus, speaking of the Rutgers basketball team, Caster Semanya's genitalia, the South African runner. I mean, we've had all the intense scrutiny on Michelle Obama's arms. We've had like all this scrutiny around representations of black women, Rihanna's bruises, you know, and so like there's so much context to this film. I don't know if I can just be simple with it.
And of course, it's connected to Precious, right?
Of course, and like the big connection to Precious. We actually had the opportunity to watch the film. We, as part of a collective that Mako and I co-founded called Real Color Girls, we pre-screened the film here in Seattle, Washington, with a primarily female black audience. And it was just really interesting being in the theater with both women who were new to the work of Ntozake Shange as being interpreted by Tyler Perry, and also with like the old school. I hadn't seen that great of a collection in Seattle of black women over 50 in a really long time. So there was like a lot of complicated responses to the film.
So my initial response was, well, it's not horrible. And one of my friends said to me the other day, well, if you say it's not horrible, that probably means I'll really, really enjoy it.
Our friends would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the positive things, though. What are some of the positive takeaways for Color Girls?
Well, I think the biggest positive takeaway is that, you know, similar to Precious, this was an in this case, this was an all-black cast. And to have, you know, in the politics of a white Hollywood system, to have an all-black cast is transformative, borderline revolutionary in the 21st century. And so I think the biggest positive is that this film provided job opportunities for black actors,
for black actresses,
and actresses
women,
in Hollywood. It also, you know, Tyler Perry's 34th Street films, you know, is you know, the production team is mostly black people and black women in particular. So I think that Tyler Perry is surrounded by, and of course his connection to Oprah, so he's surrounded by a slew of African American women that are, you know, in many ways holding him up in Hollywood. So I think that that's probably one of the biggest positive takeaways from the film for me.
For me, the biggest positive takeaway from the film actually has nothing to do with the film at all. It has to do with the interview that Tyler Perry gave the week before the film's release around his abuse. And it helped me to contextualize the film, to contextualize kind of what he's working through, you know, through his art. And it was also an enormous opportunity, again, talking about the show. It was an enormous opportunity for us to start broaching the reality of male pain, masculine pain, something that isn't, you know, really addressed in the culture. The unfortunate thing, of course, is that he's using, as Mako says in her review, he's using the bodies of black women or the representations of black women to, work out his own internal stuff. And the writings, actually, in Tazaki's work, to work out his own stuff. So that was the great takeaway for me.
Okay, so now that we've done the good stuff, let's talk about the more critical aspects, right? So we only have a few minutes. So what would you say was the most difficult part of the film to watch for you?
I think for me the most difficult part was, well, there's a lot of parts. I mean, the whole
How can you ask that question,
the
Ebony?
film is very difficult to watch. I mean, for me, it was much more difficult to watch than Precious because I felt like the focus of incest and sexual violence and poverty was, I mean, obviously they're not narrow, but that's the focus of Precious. This film, the issues that this film combats are so diverse, which of course is a testament to the legacy and just the classic nature of Shange's words, right? But the difficulty for me was Perry's creative license in making a lot of alterations to her text, right? So, one in particular, for example, Janet Jackson, I mean, obviously the audience, if you're not familiar with Shange's work, would think that she's Lady in Red. She's actually Lady in Blue, which is a very important distinction if you know the play. And then, of course, the more damaging piece of all of the damaging pieces, but the most damaging was there's one line in the play in particular where Shange refers to Joe's character, Lady in Blue's man, as as low down, trifling, right? And of course, the twist in the film version is that Joe is speaking to her husband and refers to him as low down, down low, which to me, I think it's Perry's introducing this phenomena of the down low within the context of Shange's work in a way that I think is really damaging
and inappropriate
absolutely inappropriate to any kind of understanding of the diversity of black sexuality in America.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would definitely want to say to all of our audiences that, believe it or not, Colored Girls was not about men.
Absolutely.
That was one of the things that was most challenging for me. The original play is not about men, and it's not about women who are victims. It's about women who are survivors, and it's about women establishing a sisterhood.
Right.
So I was most disturbed by the cattiness among the women for three-fourths of the film.
Yeah.
The cattiness, the competitiveness. I'm like, what is this? Like, this was not in the original, and yes, I understand how it creates drama, but that's not reflective of the heart of the play at all.
And of course, for me, I mean, is it just me, or did Phylicia Rashad remind you of Medea? I mean, Gilda was not in the play, yet, and Perry was...
Medea was not in the play, but she found herself, we found ourselves looking at Medea both through the characters of Phylicia Rashad's character, and for me it was Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, it really, Tyler Perry, everyone, clearly is a very moralistic, very Christian-based storyteller, and like that dichotomy, that good, like there's the whores, and then there are the good innocent girls. These are things that he's somehow managed to slip Medea in there.
And of course, and given the directive that Medea should not be in this film, we still see, like I said in my piece, the long arms of Medea working her way through Shange's choreo poem.
Right.
And it was very difficult to sit and watch this amazing actress, Phylicia Rashad, embody, all of the positives of the black matriarch, but yet I was still reminded of, Medea.
Right.
Yeah.
So break it down for me, ladies. Does Tyler Perry hate black women?
I think Tyler Perry has a complicated relationship with black women, and I'm really glad that I was able to see the Oprah interview. It just really gave some good background for him. His aunt was actually in the audience when Oprah was interviewing him, and he said that his aunt is the Medea character. He straight out said that. And so I think that he has, there's his trauma, the trauma of his mother, witnessing his mother being just horrifically abused by his father. And then there's also his his aunt, who was like this kind of savior woman. So I think that and as a child, because he wasn't protected from the abuse of his father. I mean, we can psychoanalyze him to death. It's so easy to do. He probably has a lot of resentment and anger towards women because his mother didn't protect him from this horrific father. But at the same time, he really admires women because his aunt was, the safe haven, the person who would check his father. So I think his relationship is complicated. And I think it's a lot more complicated than he allows the characters of the play, of his script to show. Like, he just showed like very, there was no nuance, for me, to the portrayal of these women.
Mako?
Oh, I would have to agree. I mean, I think that to me, just looking at the body of his work, I don't think that you can make the argument that Tyler Perry hates black women or Tyler Perry hates women. In fact, I think of all of the black filmmakers out there today, you have to credit him, again, for just the economy of the character, the economy of having black women on screen. You have to give it up to this man, because he is probably one of the only filmmakers in the contemporary period that is putting a critical mass of black women on film to a global audience.
Right.
So that is his credit. That is, to me, his legacy. But that also doesn't mean that as black women, as black feminists, as critics, as writers, as artists, that he should be removed from criticism. And that I think part of our job and what we're here to do is to hold him accountable to this global platform that he's now created for black women.
Right.
Okay. All right, well, we are just about at our time, but I would like to end with an exercise that sort of mimics the last few minutes of the film with the My Love fill in the blank. So my love is too much of an experience to be thrown back in my face.
My love, I was about to say my love is too sanctified, but that's Shanghai. I would probably say my love is too... Oh gosh, this is really difficult. I don't even know how to respond to that.
You're the artist.
I would say my love is too holy to be thrown back in my face.
My love is too precious to be thrown back in my face.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies. And
thank you, Ebony.
Thank you, Ebony, so much.